All right, we're going to officially get started. So, good evening and welcome to our third day of Survivors Week. I am Julie Lanford, the Wellness Director at Cancer Services, and I'm also the cancer dietitian if you're not familiar with me. And so, I write cancerdietitian.com. It's all part of our programs at Cancer Services. So I have a couple of different audiences with us tonight. So we have people who are local to Winston-Salem and who are participating in our Survivors Week, which is really awesome. And this is session 3. If you missed any of the other sessions, you can find the other 2 on our YouTube channel. And then also we have some cancer dietitian followers who I've invited to join tonight. So and some of you are both of those. And so that's really fun. But I am excited to be here for tonight to present this. And our Survivors Week celebration is part of a collaboration between Cancer Services and Novant Cancer Center and Wake Forest Baptist Comprehensive Cancer Center. So we just want to welcome you all to this third session. And before we get started, I want to encourage all the survivors to send us your pictures. So we've got a lot of pictures, including some of you who are on tonight. I know you sent your pictures. If you're participating in the Survivors Week celebration, you picked up a goodie bag and you got a really cool mask. So this is what our awesome masks look like. Only yours is blue with yellow writing. So we would love to have your picture if you're willing to share it. We're going to have a slideshow on our Saturday program. So send that in. And in your goodie bag, you also got a celebration certificate. So you can write on it and take your picture and send it to us. And we can include that in the slideshow as well. And then a thank you certificate, which is this one. And if any of you on here have not been participating in the whole Survivors Week, but you would like a copy of these certificates to use for yourself or whatever, we are happy to email those to you. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you? We are going to have that included in our slideshow for our Survivors Week party, which is going to be on Saturday. And then we also have 2 more sessions this week. So we're really excited you're here, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this session. And again, if you are having questions as we go along, please enter those in the Q&A box. There's also a chat that you can enter your questions into. And our topic today is meal planning tips and tricks. And hopefully I'll give you lots of kind of resources and ideas on how you can optimize your meal planning. And I think a lot of us are actually in more of meal planning mode these days because maybe we're trying to go to the grocery store less often, which means you have to shop for more things at a time. And the more organized you are, the less money it costs you because you don't waste food and things like that. So get the slides to work for me. Just so you know about me, if you're not familiar with me, I am a registered dietitian nutritionist, and I told you I'm the wellness director at Cancer Services. We are a local nonprofit in Winston-Salem, and we offer educational programs for people who have faced a cancer diagnosis and for people who are interested in reducing their risk. So I've been at Cancer Services for almost 12 and a half years now. And prior to that, I was an outpatient oncology dietitian. And pretty much my whole career have had the opportunity of getting to take an exam every 5 years to maintain my board certified specialist in oncology nutrition. And I do have a master's in public health from UNC Chapel Hill in nutrition and a BS in biology from NC State. So yes, I have a heart divided is what I say. And our goals for this session, we are going to cover all kinds of resources for you to use as your meal planning. We're going to talk about the basics of meal planning, and then we are going to do some practice. So I hope you guys have your pens handy and your paper handy to maybe do some writing. If you're really fancy, you get your phone and then you're going to take notes in there. But we're going to have a lot of different tools that you may want to check out. So if you're on your computer, you should be able to maybe pull up some of the websites as I'm talking about them or check out the apps as we talk about them. Where is it listed on YouTube? We'll share the link at the end, but it's with Cancer Services YouTube channel. All right, so we will get started with the basics. All right, so what is meal planning? First of all, meal planning is basically deciding how often you want to grocery shop, how often you actually want to cook. Like, are you going to plan out for leftovers, or do you want to have sort of, fresh prepared foods every single day? How many people are you cooking for? Is it you? Is it two of you? Is it a whole family? Do you do some kind of meal swap with another family? How many meals do you want to plan for? So it's really up to you. If you want to do your meal plan for a whole month, which when I grew up, I think my mom had a meal plan for the whole month. I typically tend to do just for a week. I'm not quite as organized, and I also don't, I change my mind a lot. So if I plan for a whole month, then by the end of the month, I'm completely off the plan. So, how many meals do you want to plan for? That's another thing to really ask. Like, do you want to plan out your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and your snacks? Or do you want to plan out just your dinners, which is what I tend to do. And then I kind of fill in with the other things. Other things that are going on before or after mealtime to plan around. So that's just really paying attention to if you have activities. And so are you going to need to plan for your meals to be cooking in a crock pot so that you're not cooking right before mealtime? Or do you need to like get out of the house right afterwards? So just thinking through those things on your daily plan. And a lot of us kind of aren't really planning on a whole lot of anything right now. So it may be that it's not really that different from day to day. Benefits of meal planning. So these are the reasons that we want to meal plan. A lot of people, not even on this list is necessarily that it typically is healthier for you, because when you plan out meals ahead of time, you think a little bit more about what your body might need, as opposed to kind of reacting at the last minute when you're starving. So other benefits is decreasing food waste. So I feel really bad when I have to throw food away. Like, I do not want to waste food, because I feel like, I need to be responsible and not waste food. It costs me money to buy the food, so I don't want to waste it, because that's wasting my money. But also, somebody else could be enjoying that food if I ate the right amount for my meals. So decreasing the likelihood of random trips to the store. That's especially essential right now if you're trying to sort of minimize your amount of time at the grocery store, or you're trying to hit the certain times of day where it's less busy, which is my strategy. You don't want to figure out as you're preparing a recipe, oh my gosh, I don't have like that one thing that really makes this recipe great. That's what we want to avoid. It does save you money. So that's part of the planning ahead and making your list, is that you don't buy things that you don't need, or you don't buy too much of something. It encourages you to have a stocked pantry, which is nice, so that you can throw something together. You eat out less. I've definitely been eating out less more recently, although in my meal plans, I tend to plan for one sort of meal out a week. You're more likely to cook at home. Now, a lot of us kind of decided we are only going to cook at home for a little while. And then you're more likely to follow a recommended eating pattern, because you're planning ahead. And then there's no sort of last minute, I don't know what I'm going to do. So those are the benefits of meal planning. That's why we would encourage you to do it. But how you do it, I think, is going to sort of depend on your personality and your lifestyle. So this is always my bottom line when it comes to meal planning. Like, the hardest part is actually being disciplined enough to do it, and then to follow through on the plan. So you'll see this multiple times today. It's just a reminder that it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be complicated, but just doing it in itself is a benefit. Okay, so let's talk about a few resources that you can use to organize your ideas. And a lot of these are apps. So one of them, and if you go to the website that I mentioned, which is cancerdietitian.com/meal planning, I've linked all of these. So you don't feel like you have to write them all down. Okay, create your own lists on any list. So making your own list, you can organize the order, you can share your list with others, which is really helpful if you're in a household where there's more than one adult who's kind of responsible for things. It's helpful to share those lists. Start typing and the app will fill in grocery items. So it's like, oh my gosh, the app knows what I'm thinking. Organized by grocery store category. So that I think is really helpful. At least I find it helpful. So I'm not like going back and forth in the grocery store, and depending on which grocery store you shop at right now, with the one-way aisles. Oh my gosh. Trying to go back and find something and also make sure you're going the correct way in the aisle. So it does help if you can have them organized. And I even in the links that I sent out with the information about logging in is this. I don't know if you can see it. I'm a little bit small right now, but we'll get to this later. But it's also a grocery list that's organized by section in the grocery store. And you could make your own too if you want it. Like this has a lot of categories. It doesn't have to have that many categories. But I do think that that's really helpful. Meal plan calendar on the app, and there's recipe storage and organization. There's a free or paid subscription. So I don't use this one, but my intern who helped make this presentation does use it. $9.99 a year for individuals. So I would guess that's just one. And then if you want to share it with somebody else in your family, $14.99 a year. That's not a bad deal. However, I do use this one. So this one is the Cozy app. And I use the free version. So you can see these are just screenshots off my phone. And you can see like on the right side on the list, there's an advertisement for Target at the bottom. I don't do the paid version, so I have ads on mine. And that doesn't really bother me that much. But for some people, you might just prefer to get the paid version. But you can see, so this is what on the left side, you can see that's what the app kind of looks like in the App Store. I use an iPhone, so this is a iPhone App Store, but it's available in whatever device you use. There is a family recipe box, which I really like because you can search for a recipe on your phone and then you can, basically there's a share button and I click share and you can either, my phone offers me to share by message or share by email. And then there's a little cozy button and I press the cozy button and it takes that recipe from the website I was on and puts it right there in the cozy app. And so these are some that I have shared. So you might recipe this. You might recognize the 24 karat gold vanilla turmeric latte is one that I used as a base of ideas when I did my cooking class I don't know, maybe that was a month ago. This blueberry rhubarb crumble is delicious. It's one that I've used. I grow a rhubarb plant, and so I've used that before. The cinnamon coconut granola is my recipe, and so you can take your cancerdietitian.com recipes and the ones that you really like that you want to use multiple times. You can put it in your family recipe box on the Cozy app. So I have a real recipe box as well. We usually have printable recipe cards, and then I have those in my recipe box. But a lot of times for the recipes I have on my website, I am just searching it on my own website. So I do like having this family recipe box. And then we also use the shopping list. So you can see on this list, I have groceries. Nothing's on my list right now, but that's like my regular grocery store. And then wholesale we keep for our Costco list. And then I have it's called the basement freezer window. So I call it a window that basically it keeps a list of what I have in the freezer so that so when I'm meal planning, I can see what there is. So you do need to kind of keep up with that. Mine's a little bit old, but I have a regular freezer window, and then I have my basement freezer window, and then you can keep a fridge window, which is just a list of what's in there so that I can make sure to not waste food and to use it in my meal plans. So I use this all the time, and my husband has the same, we share the app. And so he's the one who goes to Costco on Saturday mornings, and I'm the one that goes to the regular grocery store on Sunday mornings. And so we just add to this list throughout the week so that when it's time to go grocery shopping, we're not like, oh my gosh, what was it that we said we needed? We try to keep it updated throughout the week, and we just know those are the days we grocery shop. Okay, so here's another option. It's not specifically for meal planning, but Evernote is a great tool. You can use it on your desktop, and you can also use it on your phone. So I think that it's really fun because it's really more of an organization app. But you can basically clip things right into some of the documents in Evernote. So you can basically just clip something off of a website and you can see like this chickpea curry recipe. This is just an example of where you can just plug it right into your Evernote app. And so it doesn't, you don't have to like copy and paste. It literally takes like a copy of the web page and sticks it in your file. So that's really handy. It has, you can get as organized as you need to or not. You can make grocery lists or checklists. It does work without internet access. So let's say you saved a bunch of things into your Evernote app, and then you're somewhere where you don't have access to the internet, it will still work for you. So that's really handy. And I've done it where like I'm use it on my computer, but then I view it on my phone. And that's also nice so that you don't have to, keep your file one place and you can't find it somewhere else. So Evernote's real handy. It's not necessarily meal planning. Google Drive, I'm also a Google person. So I use an iPhone and then I use a lot of Google tools. And so I also have the Google Drive app on my phone. And Google also has a separate app for Sheets, which is just their spreadsheet, Google Docs, which is like their Word document. But you can also organize things in folders. I personally don't use this for meal planning, but I do use it for a calendar. So I use Google Calendar as my, like if I'm going to put my meal plan into a calendar, we have a family Google Calendar and I have a work calendar, and I can view them both at the same time or not at the same time. So that's where I tend to put my meals. Like I might write down, like plan it out on a piece of paper, what meals that I'm going to use, but then I actually put it in. So let's say like Monday, we try to eat at 5:30. I would put it right in at like 5:30. I would put dinner and I'd write what it was. And so I'd have a block every, night, or every night that we are making food at 5:30 on my Google Calendar. And then I can also put notes like, take chicken out of the freezer for the next day or whatever. So Google Drive is handy. And then this is really kind of a simple, basically this is a notes app. So you have a note-taking app on your iPhone, or it's essentially like using a Word document where you just write it down. So this is why I'm saying that you don't have to use any of these fancy tools. If you're somebody who likes to use apps to keep you organized, you can. But if you're somebody who's sort of, you're kind of a paper and pencil person, or you want to be able to write it down, and save it digitally, but you don't want anything too fancy, you can just use your regular word processor to save those. And then if you want to just do it on your phone, you can use the note-taking app and just type it in there. Here is another website and mobile app. So this kind of spans both this category of organizing apps and then our next category where we're going to talk about where you get recipe ideas. But this website and mobile app is called PlanToEat, and they do charge for it, although, okay, it's $4.95 a month or $40 a year. It's a meal planning website and a mobile app, and it's a recipe organizer. So basically what you have, and you can share with your friends, which is super handy. So if you have friends that you want to kind of meal plan with, let's say let's say there's 4 friends, each friend takes a week of the month, they plan out a meal, and then they share it with their buddy. And then all of a sudden you have 4 weeks of meal plans, and that's pretty handy. And in the food service industry, we call it a cycle menu if you just reuse like the same menu every 4 weeks. So let's say you get a 4-week menu planned out and you've got it for a month and you just reuse that same one, and maybe you switch out a recipe or 2, but like you have the foundation of your meal plan and you can use it every month. Then you do the hard work once and then you can just reuse it. So this website's great for that because it will save your recipes and it saves your meal plans, and it does it in the calendar view. So my coworker has used this and I've watched her. She'll like drag recipes into different parts of her calendar, and it's really handy. So that's something you can use. And then it generates a shopping list for you from your recipes. So you do have to have your recipes loaded into it. It can pull from most websites, but let's say you have a favorite recipe that's in an actual book, you would need to enter that in. So that's kind of a downside. But if you're going to do that work up front, it can really save you time in the back end. All right, so mobile app. E-meals. This is another one that kind of spans both of them. So this one actually will give you a meal plan. And a lot of people like me to write meal plans for them. And I did it. My very first job, I did diabetes management, cholesterol management, and I was just checking with people all day long. They'd come in for 30-minute or 1 hour appointments, and people always wanted me to make them meal plans. And when I was first a dietitian, I was like, oh, this is so great. I'm going to help people. I'm going to give them meal plans. They're going to follow it and they're going to be so healthy. And so they would tell me they want a meal plan. And so I'd be like, great, let me put one together for you before you come for your next appointment. It takes a lot of time to put together a meal plan, especially if somebody wants breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And so I would pull these meal plans together and I'd be like, here you go. This is one just for you. It meets your carbs and it meets this and it meets that. And they're like, okay, great, thanks. And then they go home and then I see them the next time and I ask them, oh, how'd that meal plan work out for you? And what do you think they said? I didn't really like the recipes. I wasn't really into it. I didn't do it. And I was like, man, do you know how much time I spent on that and you didn't do it? So I learned quickly. I do not make people meal plans. You make your own meal plan. That's why we're doing this workshop. Because everybody likes different recipes and you don't like the things that I necessarily like. That's part of this, is that even if you were to come to me and I was going to help you make a meal plan, I would need you to like bring me a list of some of your favorite recipes. So by the time you do all that, then it's not even, you might as well do the whole thing yourself. That's the hard part. But this meal app actually will give you some recipes. It will give you a menu. So if you like that, you can choose your diet restrictions, which, you know, for whatever you want. And then you choose your family size. So it kind of scales it up or down based on what you need. So I think that's kind of handy. The nice thing, you can try it out for 2 weeks for free and see if you like it before you pay. And then the other nice thing, if you use any grocery delivery apps, like Shipt or Instacart, then it will connect with that, so that you have your grocery list and you tell it, okay, tell Instacart to shop for me. It'll connect to your Instacart account and then it'll have them all listed there and you just click go pay. And then, your Instacart shopper goes to the grocery store and picks up all the things for you and drops it off on your porch, which is like a little piece of heaven. I used Instacart for a while. I've stopped using it recently because their pricing is a little different from the pricing in the store. And I'm cheap. So I wanted to get the prices in the store, but I used it for a while at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was so nice to just have someone else go to Costco for me and drop them off on my porch. Okay, so then the last thing in this section is your pen and paper printables, which if you checked your emails and printed out the printables I shared with you, that's what we have. So we're going to work from those later. I have mine here. And I've actually written on them. And so that's part of our interactive piece at the end. Remember, the bottom line is to do it. So I made some polls for you guys to do. So I want to do this. I'm going to launch a poll and ask you all to answer the question. So this is, what is your current relationship with meal planning? So just so I have kind of an idea. Are you somebody who's never tried it? You're just curious about it? Are you an on and off with meal planning, which I kind of am on and off with? Do you like meal planning, but you're bored of your recipes? Did you just start meal planning because COVID happened? Are you a meal planning pro and looking for more tools, or none of those? So we've got people entering their votes. I love polls. This is really fun to see how everybody answered. So a lot of you are like me, on and off again with your meal planning. All right, I'm going to give you a few more seconds to finish it. So I don't know if you can see the results. I'll go ahead and tell you what it says just in case I click end polling and it goes away. So 15% of you never tried it, just curious about it. Welcome. And 54% of you are like me, kind of on again, off again with meal planning. 15% do meal plan, but bored of recipes. So this next section will be perfect for you. And then 3% of you are meal planning pros. Good for you. I should have had you teach it. And then none of these. So that's super fun. Thank you guys for sharing. Oh, I can share results with you. Here you go. And then let me see what other, I have another poll. So I'm going to wait on that one. All right, so this next section, since we have a bunch of people who are on again, off again, but also some people who are looking for recipe ideas. Okay, so this is a section where I'll share some places that you can go for recipe ideas. For those of you who are bored with kind of your same old recipes, you're looking for something new, of course, you can come to my website and there's a little tab at the top for recipes. It's a category and I put all of my cooking class recipes in there, and I don't share recipes on there that I don't personally use. So before I put any recipe on my website, either myself or my intern has tested it and it's a tried and true kind of recipe. Also, just to put a plug in for a new program that's starting next week, if you're looking for more fruit and vegetable recipes, we're starting a program called Eat the Rainbow Fruit and Veggie Challenge. So you can go to cancerdietitian.com/rainbow to find information about that. It's a 12-week program to increase your fruit and vegetable intake, and it starts on Monday. So be sure you sign up for that. So you can go to my website and get recipes. This is another really cool site. It also has, it kind of spans over with the meal planning site too. So this is called Eat Real America. Let me see, I'll show you. So this is, if you can see in my little video, the Eat Real cookbook. It's by Zonia Foco. And on that webpage I mentioned to you, it links to it. It stands up, if you can see this. This cookbook stands up on your own if you get the real cookbook, but they also have an online version. And it's very beautiful. You can see their pretty pictures in there. And I like this one because it's called the 28-day kickstart. So it has meal plans for you for 28 days. And my sister-in-law, who is also a dietitian and she likes to cook, she actually, I had 2 copies of this. I told her I'm not going to use it because I like to make my own meal plans, not follow someone else's. And so I've used some of the recipes and they're great, but I don't use the meal plans. Well, she took it. And so when COVID happened, she used this, and for the first month, she made every single recipe in here and followed all of them. She said it was good. It gave her the grocery list, and they only had to go to the grocery store every 8 or 9 days. So that's an option, either the real life cookbook, which I link on that webpage I shared with you, or you can do this online version, which is $5 a month or $39 a year. I don't get any kickbacks for any of this also, by the way. So I'm sharing it with you just because I think they're useful tools, not because I'm getting any kind of pay for it. So they have meal ideas, 2 quick dinner ideas. You can make shopping lists. You can add recipes to your shopping list. It has an online recipe box if you do the online version, or if you just want the simple paper version, you can buy the book. Okay, so here's the book. That's the real version. Okay, so then this is I bought this one actually because I like a crock pot. I do like an Instant Pot, but personally I prefer the crock pot because you start it in the morning and then you get to just eat it when it's done. So the Instant Pot is also really handy, but the Instant Pot, you're still cooking right before you eat. And for me, like leaving work and then having to cook before I eat it, I don't like it. So I'd rather prep my food ahead of time and put it in the crock pot so that when I come home from work, it's a little bit more relaxed, and then somebody myself has cooked for me. So I like crock pot meals better. And so what I bought from Christine's Kitchen, I think it was only $5 or something. It was an ebook, which is basically just a paper printable version of a book. So I'm trying to find, here it is. So I got it. And then of course, what do? I print it out because I like that. But this is what I bought. It's a slow cooker, 21-day meal plan, slow cooker, make ahead meals. And I love it because it's just like 21 days and it has meal plans. So you can see here, week 1 meal plan, and then it has your recipes for the week. So you make like 4 crock pot meals and then you use the leftovers for another recipe for the other days. And she gives you the grocery list to go for it for the week. And then the other thing that I really like is she also sets it up so that you can freeze your crock-pot meals ahead of time, which is really cool. And I did a little crock-pot meal swap with some friends where we each made 5 versions of one recipe. And then I'm told it's like a cookie swap, a cookie party or whatever it's called. And so we all brought our 5 recipes and traded with each other. So I had 5 different crock pot meals that I could put in my freezer or put in the crock pot the next day. And she provided us with these like labels that you print out and stick on your plastic bags or your freezer safe containers, so that it tells you what to do when you pull it out to put it in the crock pot. So I love that. I use it all the time. I reuse those labels. Oh yeah, someone commented, I thought that you can use an Instant Pot as a crock pot. That is true. So you can use the Instant Pot as a crock pot. You just have to get the special crock pot top. Although I've used it without the glass top. I've used it just regular Instant Pot top. Does the cookbook deal with meals for cancer patients? So I'll get into that too, because I have some special cookbooks for cancer. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And okay, somebody else is asking about side effects from chemo, so I'll get to that when we get to those cookbooks. All right. I'm keeping an eye on that Q&A box, trying to do my best. So that's Christine's Kitchen, crock pot meals, Instant Pot meals, of course, Pinterest. So I don't know if you guys are Pinterest people. I'm not really. I have a cancer dietitian Pinterest page, but I haven't put anything on it in years. So it has stuff from like 5 years ago, and it has a bunch of my recipes and several different boards. But I if I had time, I would go on and do some more. The only problem with Pinterest is it's just like going to the internet and searching for something. You don't know if your recipes are tried and true. You don't know if they're good for you, you know. So the cookbooks that I recommend typically are ones that are kind of filled with recipes that are, you know, good for you. All right, so your bottom line is do it. I didn't put screenshots for these other cookbooks, but let me highlight those. For those of you who are in treatment and having side effects, this is one of my very favorite ones. It's called Eating Well Through Cancer. So for those of you who have participated in my cooking programs, and are local, we've provided these to you for free. And so my last cooking class, if anybody wants to go back and watch it, we did 2 recipes out of this cookbook. I really like it because the recipes are simple. They're not complicated recipes. And the other thing is that the cookbook is organized by side effects. So like for the person who is asking what recipes are good for diarrhea or nausea or vomiting or whatever, they're in here by that section. So they're just organized that way, which is really helpful. In the table of contents, you can pick out, okay, day of chemo, what kinds of things, or if I'm having diarrhea or constipation, what recipes are good for that. So this one I find is the most practical. We give this out with all of our gynecologic cancer patients. And then there's a couple of other ones. So the American Cancer Society has one too, which is called, let me get it in the window if you can see it, What to Eat During Cancer Treatment. Again, these are all linked on the webpage that I mentioned, cancerdietitian.com/meal planning. So you don't worry about hurrying up and writing it all down. We'll make sure you get it. So this is one from the American Cancer Society, What to Eat During Cancer Treatment. Again, it has the same kind of things where it will tell you which recipes are good for which side effects, which is super helpful. Another one that's specific for cancer is the Cancer Fighting Kitchen by Rebecca Katz. So she's kind of a famous chef. And she has some really great tips, especially for taste changes. So she's a chef. So dietitians are trained to get you sort of troubleshoot and get you the nutrition you need and individualize what kinds of nutrition needs and how to get that through food. But chefs know how to make food taste really good. So us dietitians, that's not our expertise. I'm a practical kind of person and I like food that tastes good, but I'm not trained in that. So she talks a lot in here about how to manage taste changes with the foods you choose. So strategies on that, which is really helpful. My only challenge with this cookbook, and there's a lot of information in here. I mean, it's beautiful. So I don't know if you can see that. It's really beautiful. But I have found the recipes are way more complicated than even I'm willing to make. And so thinking about recommending that to my patients who are in treatment, it seems a little bit challenging. So if you have someone to cook for you or you're cooking for somebody who is and you like to cook, I think this could be a really good book. She also has an online program. And if you're a Novant health patient, you can get access to this for free. So we can, let you know how to do that. But I have found that it's just more complicated than I can handle. So recommended foods for post-cancer treatment or cancer-free diagnosis to help prevent recurrence, which is most of the other kind of cookbooks that I'm recommending here. And I have a whole webinar on plant-based diets for cancer survivors. So I would recommend that you watch that. That was one of my most recent webinars. That would really talk through the foods for survivorship. And then these cookbooks would go along great with that. And so this is one of my favorites too. That's not, it's not in the slideshow, but it's in my list of resources. It's called Lickety Split Meals. So it's the same author as the Eat Real America book. So we have the same design of a cookbook that stands up by itself on your counter. Don't I sound like a salesperson? But I'm not. It's my favorite thing about it. And not the most beautiful pictures. There's no pictures in here, but I don't care because I just want good, healthy meal ideas. And all the recipes in here are healthy. And the other thing, well, look at this. It has a dry erase board in the top where you can write down things. She gives you suggestions on meal plans. It's also really good for people who are in smaller households because it does have a crockpot meal section, but it also has a lot of sections for like households of 2. But hands down, my favorite thing about this cookbook is that it is organized. If I could find the table of contents, it's organized by sort of convenience. So she has a breakfast section. She has a section for 5-minute mini meals. I love it. It's very practical. And those are things that you want to stock your pantry with so that when you don't have a meal plan and you need something to eat, it's like, oh, okay, black beans, corn, salsa, and some baked chips, done. That's a meal and it doesn't take that long. Or what is another one? She has 1-minute mini meals. I mean, that's amazing. So quick nachos, quick quesadilla, beans and crackers. Triscuits are my favorite crackers. So I would eat that black bean, corn, salsa mixture with Triscuits. Like that could be a meal in itself. And so she's got great ideas for that. Then she has a 5-minute meal section. She has a 15-minute meal section, 30-minute meal section, oven, exercise, eat. So you prep your food, put it in the oven, and while it's cooking, you go off and exercise and you come back and it's ready. So very practical. And then she has some really great crockpot meals that I use all the time. So I sound like a salesperson, but seriously, this is a cookbook I buy for like newlyweds or, people who want to start eating healthier, but need the convenience. This is my type of book. I'm not a foodie and I have little children at home that make it very difficult to spend a lot of time preparing food. So, let's see. One other recommended cookbook for those of you who are really challenged on the budget side. Of course, cancer treatment is super expensive. And so a lot of people are trying to figure out how am I going to put food on the table and pay for my medicine? So that's always a challenge. And then right now, a lot of people are dealing with job losses or trying to just maximize their budget. And so this is another great one. And it focuses on meals that are $4 a day. Also, it's a beautiful cookbook. So you got lots of meal ideas that would only cost you. I was looking at it today, they have a granola bar recipe that's like oats and peanut butter and jelly and I don't know, a little bit else, and then you form it and bake it. Here's the peanut butter and jelly bars. So this is called Eat Well on $4 a Day, Good and Cheap. And we do have these at Cancer Services. Or you can purchase them online. So anyway, those are some ideas I would say for just try out some new recipes, or you're kind of bored with your meal plan, or you want to say infuse a few different things in. Somebody's asking cookbook suggestions for vegetarian meals. So I think all of these include meat, although many of them also include vegetarian recipes. So I eat vegetarian a lot of the time, but not all of the time. So you would have to pick through those. Some people like the Enchanted Broccoli Forest for a vegetarian cookbook. And I find that it's very helpful for like learning the process of cooking. It's a little more complicated than I can handle. So anyway, I'm not super helpful on the vegetarian only cookbooks, although I would tell you that these cookbooks all have options with vegetarian meals. Okay, so I think somebody's asking about the free cookbook. So the free cookbook is for people who live um, in our local area for Winston-Salem. And if you participated in the cooking program in July, or I'm doing one again next week, when you register, we'll offer you an option to come by and get it. But also it's available online. So anyway, you can let us know if you're interested in doing that. All right. So we talked about all the recipes. What time is it? Oh my gosh. Okay. So, but when it comes down to it, we have to do the meal plan. So here's our steps, and then we're gonna make our plan together. So first of all, you're gonna decide the time frame that you're planning for. You'll choose the resources. So of all the things that we've talked about, you're kind of gonna pick and choose which ones you want to use. You're gonna make your plan, and then of course, go to the grocery store and get your groceries. Then you have to actually follow through on the plan that you've made. And then enjoy your food, and hopefully somebody else, if you're the cook, somebody else cleans up. But sometimes you're the cook and the dishwasher, which is another reason why I like one pot meals, to keep the dishes down. All right, so decide on the time frame you're going to be planning for. So for me, I do this a week at a time. And typically I might think about doing the planning. So if my husband's doing wholesale, like Costco shopping on Saturday, and I'm doing grocery shopping on Sunday, I like to make my meal plan kind of later in the week, but before we go grocery shopping. However, if I didn't get it together before Saturday, then he'll just go shopping, and then I'll go shopping on Sunday. I might do the meal plan on Saturday, or even if I just go shopping on Sunday and I do my meal plan on Sunday night, I take an inventory of what is in my fridge, what is in my freezer, what is in my pantry, and then meal plan based on that. So I don't always meal plan and then make the grocery list. Sometimes I just take what I have around my house and then form the meal plan around that, which, takes a little bit more, it's a little bit more challenging, but it is possible. So all I'm saying is you can do it no matter what. So think in advance. Do you want to do 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, a rotating menu, which I mentioned before? I personally do 1 week at a time. Choose any resources you're going to use. So based on kind of all the things that we talked about, what ones do you maybe want to try? What I use, again, is either just a pencil and paper and then my Google Calendar, or we're going to use these meal planning worksheets. So those are printed, you can print those out and use them if you want to, but they're just a little guide. Then we're going to make your plan. So finding the recipes from the lists that you kind of picked out, or maybe you've checked out some of the recipe books and you're thinking, well, here's the first 3 or 4 recipes I want to try over the next couple of weeks. If you want to plan out for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks, it's going to take you longer, but you could think through all of those. Personally, I just really plan out dinner. And then I like to eat leftovers for lunch, or leftovers, a couple of dinners a week. And that's how I like to build it in. Other people will also make their plan based on like, well, Tuesday is pizza night, or Tuesday is taco night, obviously. But spaghetti is Wednesday night, and we do leftovers on Thursday night. So you kind of have already like a standard plan, and you can do the same thing and maybe just switch out recipes here and there. I have a 9-year-old, and so she was making dinner once a week, and it was always spaghetti. And then I kind of got tired of spaghetti, so I think I need to teach her something else to make that she likes. She likes tacos too, so we could switch to that. Then you get your groceries, depending on which order you do. And then follow through with your plan. So looking at, sometimes, especially with crockpot recipes, you got to be prepared far enough in advance that you have things ready in the morning to stick it in the crockpot. And then actually cook the meals that you planned out. So that's also the nice thing about the Instant Pot, is that you don't always have to like thaw things ahead of time that you do with a crock pot. Instant Pot can actually take things straight from the freezer and then cook them up in like an hour, which is really handy. You can also cook potatoes in an Instant Pot really quickly. So if you're somebody who does like to sort of cook at the last minute, you could plan on that for your Instant Pot. And enjoy the meals you have planned and prepared. And this is a beautiful picture of one of the recipes I have on my website that we made in our cooking class in June. So it was a chickpea curry, vegetarian and delicious. All right, so we're going to do it together because we have some time. I tried to plan this all out perfectly for you. So what I want you to do is, if you have these worksheets with you, pull them out. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I'm bigger for you. So pull them out and we're going to use them. The order that I like to use them, first of all, we're going to start with our favorite recipes. So if you don't have a printout, don't worry about it. Get out a piece of paper and a pen, or get your phone out, and on your notes app, you're going to write down some of your favorite recipes. And there's a couple of things I want you to do on this. I want you to just think about what are your, favorite things to make. If you like to make pizza at home, or you like to make spaghetti at home, or you like tortilla soup, or I don't know, squash casserole, whatever, everybody kind of has different food preferences. Chickpea curry. So whatever family recipes or cultural recipes you really enjoy, start writing those down. The other things that you can write down are just foods that you like. So like, I like to keep around tomatoes and red and green peppers and carrots, those types of things, hummus, crackers. So if you think about the different food groups, fruits, vegetables, starches, proteins, you can also just write down, like, what are your favorite foods in those sections. All right. So everybody's working. I feel like I need the Jeopardy song on to give you a little bit of time, but you're writing down your favorite recipes because this will help you plug into your meal plan. You don't want to start doing your meal plan when you don't have anything to put in it, because your mind doesn't always come up with those ideas. So it's helpful to have your favorite recipes already listed. Okay, you guys keep writing. I'll tell you some of the things I wrote down, like what we had tonight. We didn't really plan it ahead. We just had some things left in the fridge. So we made corn, we cut up red peppers, we had Triscuits with hummus, and then we had peaches. And I had a banana too. So our meal, it doesn't have to be like a one pot meal. It can just be different food groups. I also have a family recipe called Texas 9, which is like a layered sort of rice and bean bowl. You can find that recipe on my website. And then of course, things like pizza and salad and watermelon are always my go-to favorites as well. We tend to get vegetarian, pizza loaded with a lot of vegetables, and then I have a salad with it and fruit and call that a meal. All right. So I'm assuming you all have your favorite recipes kind of written down on a list. And then the next thing we're going to do is pull out our meal planning worksheet. So this is just how I organized it. And I'll tell you, if you have it in front of you, I'm going to tell you kind of what's on there. So what we have is across the top is just Monday through Sunday. So it could be a regular calendar that you have in front of you. And then what I have down the left side, I have listed entree, hot vegetable, cold vegetable, whole grain, fruit, and then a beverage if you like to, have something fancy with your meals. Typically, I never write anything in the beverage category. But the only reason I have this category down the left side is to kind of help you think through, like, your entree might actually include all of the food groups. Typically for me, entree / protein is how it works. So I think about the entree as providing the protein for the meal, and it might be mixed with everything. So if it's something like that chickpea curry, the chickpeas are the protein, but the dish also includes a cooked vegetable with the squash, and it would also be served over rice. So that would be the starch. And then you might choose to have a raw vegetable and a fruit also on the side, and that would complete your meal. Some people ask me if they should eat if they should eat cooked vegetables or raw vegetables, like, are one better than the other? And I just tell them they're both good for you. Some nutrients are activated in the cooking process and some are deactivated. I don't think that you have to worry about which ones are which. And so if you really want to, then I encourage you to have a hot vegetable or a cooked vegetable and a raw vegetable. So that could be a salad with your meal, and your meal would also include a cooked vegetable. But if you don't have a raw vegetable at a meal, there's nothing, that's okay too. But it does provide a little bit of structure when you're planning out the meals. And also, if you're just kind of throwing things together for a meal, which again is perfectly fine, you can write down what you're going to have in each category, and that helps. So anyway, I went ahead and planned out a meal for next week. How great, it's Wednesday and I already have my meal planned for next week. So I have on my Monday, I have a crock pot barbecue with coleslaw and green beans. And I like to have just fresh tomatoes when I have that. And so we might have it with sweet potatoes, or we might have it with like a hamburger bun. For someone who asked about the vegetarian meals, you could do a crock pot, like a lentil type of barbecue dish. And I can't remember. I think Christine's Kitchen actually had that, kind of like a sloppy Joe with lentils. That's really good. So that's my Monday. So it covers the protein and the raw vegetable with the coleslaw, and then green beans is my cooked vegetable, and then my whole grain is going to come from, potatoes can kind of go as a starchy vegetable, and so it counts as a grain. And then Tuesday is actually our pizza night. So we go with vegetarian pizza and salad and fruit. And Wednesday, of course, is my daughter's spaghetti night. So we have spaghetti and salad and fruit. And then Thursdays, I like to just eat up whatever leftovers are in the house. And then Fridays, we do tacos. So with tacos, you can often use a crock pot to cook the protein for that. So that requires a little planning ahead, but then you just have your toppings. And if you want, like, for tacos, if you get a corn tortilla, then it's a whole grain tortilla. You can also get whole wheat tortillas, but I haven't found that they tend to fall apart. I like corn tortillas. They're a little smaller, so you might have more than one. And then Saturday, we're going to grill. So we're going to put grilled vegetables and also some chicken on the grill. And I like to cook all kinds of vegetables and fruits on the grill, which is really fun. So since Saturday we have more time, then that's my plan. And then on Sunday is our eat out day. So we tend to order from our favorite restaurant and have it delivered, or we pick it up or whatever. And of course, everybody likes that because then nobody has to cook. So now you get to plug in your menu, your favorite recipes into your days. And then what you can also plan to do, you can just plan to do like a mix and match meal and then write down what you're going to have from each food group. Especially when it's a night that you really don't feel like cooking. I think that's a great thing to do. And hummus and crackers is always easy, or cheese and crackers can also be another good protein and starch combo with your fruits and vegetables that can count as a meal. If you tolerate milk, having a glass of milk is another great way to sort of build up the protein in your meal. That's really simple. All right. What else do I have for you? Let's see. Let me pull up my presentation again. So we've gone through all of this. And then this is what I had mentioned, is that I went ahead and put all of the tools up on the website. So it's cancerdietitian.com/meal planning. And you can see, this is how it will pull up, and then you'll scroll down and it'll have links to all the apps that I talked about. It'll have links to the recipe websites, and it'll have links to the cookbooks. And then I also put on there, which I should have put in the slideshow, but it's just a reminder of what makes a meal. So when you're meal planning, you want to think through having the food groups. So you want to cover half your plate in fruits and or vegetables, and a quarter of your plate in protein, and a quarter of your plate in some kind of starchy vegetable or whole grain. And your protein can come either from animal-based or plant-based. And so that's where you can eat a plant-based diet and be a vegan, or you can eat a plant-based diet and also be a meat eater. So it's kind of a choose your own adventure there. And if you want more information on that, definitely check out my plant-based diets webinar. And I think this is our last slide for tonight, which is just other ways you can connect to me online. So my YouTube channel for Cancer Dietitian is Cancer Dietitian Julie Lanford, but we're streaming this one live on the Cancer Services YouTube channel since it's all part of our Survivors Week celebration. But I will put the recording up on that same meal planning website, so you can always find it there. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. I told you is not particularly updated, but it does exist, as well as Instagram. And then I have the Cancer Dietitian podcast with some episodes on there that you can listen to. So if you're not bored of me already tonight, you can go check out all kinds of other things. But really, I would love to have you join the Eat the Rainbow Challenge starting next Monday. Again, that's cancerdietitian.com/rainbow. And so I'd love to see you, again in the future. And I've got a cooking class next week. So if you're interested in that, watch for the link to sign up for that. Let me think if there's anything else I need to tell you. If there are other questions, I would love for you to enter those either in the chat box or the Q&A. I think that I am caught up on the questions in the Q&A. Oh, someone asked when you're going to do cooking for 1 or 2. That is next week's class. So next week's class is on Wednesday, August 19th at noon. And we'll be doing cooking for 1 or 2. So I think that'll be really fun, and definitely would love for anybody to join. So you'll join on Zoom and watch me cook. And then I love it if you cook also at home. Oh, good. Someone's already signed up for it. Hooray. I like to have, familiar names on there, so I know that you're smiling at me, and I can imagine that in my head since I can't actually see you right now. So yeah, I think that's it for tonight. We really appreciate you participating. And for those of you participating in our Survivors Week celebration, our session tomorrow is, the speakers are from Wake Forest Baptist Health Comprehensive Cancer Center, and it is going to be hosted by Cancer Services patient advocate Tiffany Morrison Brooks, and it starts at 7 p.m. in the evening. So we would love for you to submit your photos like I talked about and join us tomorrow. And then of course at the party, on Saturday, I would love to see you there as well. If you have other questions, feel free to email me or find me on social media. And yeah, I think that's it. Thanks so much, everyone. Let me check the chat box and make sure I didn't miss anything else. Good info. Awesome. Yeah, so for anybody who wants to watch this again, you can go on to cancerdietitian.com/meal planning, and I'll put the recording up in just a minute. And for anybody who does need to find the YouTube channel, you can go to cancerdietitian.com, and across the top, you'll find links to all of the social media channels, including YouTube. And then also, if you want to follow Cancer Services YouTube channel, you go to cancerservicesonline.org, and then you scroll all the way to the bottom, and that's where it shows our social media links. So yes, thank you all for joining tonight. It's so great to see your names, and I look forward to someday when we actually get to, be together live again. But for now, this will do, and we'll all be safe. So take care, stay well, and we'll see you again, at the next party. Bye.